Picture this. You own a 3-story house, quite a special one. The foundation is giving out, the windows are broken, the siding is falling off, and you have a brilliant idea. You decide to add a 4th story. Such a perfectly logical thing to do, right? Honorable audience, members of the jury, opponents, greetings. Will the increase in VAT on electricity, water, transport, and sugar have a prominent impact on families' purchasing power and monthly bills? This is the topic we're debating today. Although there is nothing much to debate, since the answer to the previously asked question is as clear as day. But first thing first, let's eliminate ambiguity. VAT, which stands for Value Added Taxes, is a consumption tax that is levied at each stage of the production and distribution chain. It is a type of indirect tax that is ultimately borne by the final consumer. VAT is applied as a percentage of the value added of each stage. It is usually calculated on the difference between the selling price and the cost of goods and services. According to MoroccoWorldNews.com, its increase would go for electricity from 14% to 16%, for water, sanitation services, and environmental rental from 7% to 8%. Taxes on passenger and freight transport were set to see an expansion from 14% to 16%. Those numbers may not seem as big as you could have imagined, but this House will make sure to show you how even 1% can affect Moroccan citizens. Now, when we talk about its impact on families, we refer to the strong effect it has on them. And based on what we see on a daily basis, we believe that the consequences of its rise is merely exemplary, since families spend a significant portion of their incomes on essential items such as food, healthcare, and housing. If the VAT increase applies to these essential goods and services, it directly impacts families' abilities to afford basic necessities, potentially leading to financial strain, taking a larger percentage of their income. Keep in mind that the increase in VAT doesn't mean in any way that the salaries and wages will face an increase as well. Ladies and gentlemen, my intervention has come to an end. And if you look back to what you've previously pictured, you would see that the house you imagined owning is our reality, and that you will only make things worse if we don't take the right initiatives. Thank you.
What is a dream? A seemingly obvious question with a seemingly oblivious answer, right? But what if we looked at it from a more profound perspective? Because truly, what is a dream? For me, a dream is an escape from reality in a domain where all our fantasies and deepest desires come true. We often dream to imagine a world where all our problems just don't exist, whether they oppress us personally or harm everyone around us. We dream in hopes for a better future. Ladies and gentlemen, I ask you all today for one simple favor, to dream with me. Dream about what, you may ask? I invite you all to dream with me about a better Morocco, a nation where education is accessible to all, healthcare is a right, and our infrastructure shines with well-paved roads and well-lit streets. Yet, in our pursuit of these dreams, we encounter the economy surrounding VAT. For some, it may look as a villain and a menace to our family's well-being. On the flip side, we stand as proponents of VAT, viewing it as a hero, a catalyst for economic development, and a protector to the families aspiring for a brighter future. And let's not be blinded by preconceptions. The central question remains, will the increase in have a permanent impact on families' purchasing power and monthly bills. Our dream of a prosperous Morocco depends not only on lofty aspirations, but also on pragmatic steps, with VAT playing a crucial role. One of its biggest roles is increasing in VAT have an impact on redistributing wealth in society. I explain myself. When the government raises the VAT, it generates more revenue that can be used to fund the social welfare programs and initiatives. These programs aim to provide assistance and support to those who are in need, and provide a more equitable distribution of resources. This can help to uplift the advantage in individuals and promote a more balanced distribution of wealth. So, dear opponents, let's not hastily dismiss VAT. Instead, let's explore how its strategic implementation can propel our nation forward. Our hero, Mr. VAT, can be the force that propels us towards social assistance, robust coverage, and even a reduction in prices. A dream within reach. At last, let us dream, but let us also be architects of our dreams. Embrace the potential of VAT. Embrace the potential of VAT as a tool for progress, a means to build the Morocco we envision. Through this debate, you'll discover that VAT, often misunderstood, might just be the hero propelling our progress. With VAT, preparing shifts from a simple vision to a tangible reality. Thank you.
No matter how bad things are, you can always make things worse. At the same time, it is often within your power to make them better. And that's why we are speaking up. Dear opponents, have you been following our geography class lately? Because if you have, you would know that the average annual salary in Morocco is very low. And according to timedoctor.com, it is less than 23,300 dirhams. And to be fair, it's not enough. Since to live a decent life, and I repeat, a decent life, an average Moroccan should spend yearly about 750 dirhams in electricity, 150 dirhams in water, 30 to 40% of his income in food, which is about 9,320 dirhams, 480 dirhams in gas bottles, 2,000 dirhams in hygiene products, 18,000 dirhams for rent, and 1,170 dirhams on clothes. And before you ask me for my source, it's based on the average amount used by citizens when it comes to these things, multiplied by their prices. Dear ladies and gentlemen, if we add these prices together, we will get a total of 31,870 dirhams, which is way more than Morocco's average annual salary. And that without counting a lot of things, such as traveling, phone bills, medication, doctor appointments, and the list goes on and on and on. But where am I going with this, you may think? So, dear audience, respectful members of the jury, what I'm trying to say is that without the increase of VAT, we can see that an average person that has no responsibilities other than his is struggling. And now, imagine the impact the increase will have on this person, and worse, on people with mouths to feed and those who are less fortunate. Dear audience, if you take a look at today's topic, you will notice the words electricity, water, sugar, transport. And you will see that we use these things every single day. So I think that it's clear that this increase will have an impact on families. And please, let's not forget that increasing VAT in transportation only means an increase in everything. And that adds up to every single Moroccan struggling. And if Moroccans are struggling, then Morocco is struggling, given that a country's development and growth isn't going to happen without its people. And as they say, a nation thrives when its people thrive. I don't really know what to say anymore other than, can't you see that the answer is obvious, that the increase will indeed have an impact on families? But if you still aren't convinced, let me ask you something. Let me ask you, why are people going on strikes? Why are people going on protests? Why do employees not go to work in a lot of places, such as the district employees that don't work on Wednesdays and Thursdays? Well, the answer is simply because they know that this increase will have an impact on them. But apparently, you can't seem to notice that. Thank you.
Dear members of the government, thank you for demonstrating that in the world of debates, credibility can sometimes be an optional accessory. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished jury, today we stand at a crucial crossroads where the decision we make holds the power to shape our future. Could we take a moment to delve into a controversial subject that needs our collective input? Will the increase in VAT have a prominent impact on families' purchasing power and monthly bills? Purchasing power, such a captivating term, right? Well, according to the website dictionary.com, purchasing power refers to the amount of goods and services that a specific amount of money can buy. It essentially measures the value of money in terms of what it can acquire. If someone has a higher purchasing power, they can buy more goods and services compared to someone with a lower one. Indeed, I understand all the general consensus aligns with the belief that the hike in VAT will adversely affect the purchasing power of households. However, allow me to guide you towards an alternate perspective and demonstrate that all your assumptions are misguided. The surge in VAT actually adds economically disadvantaged families in bolstering their purchasing power. While this notion may initially seem illogical, I implore your esteemed audience to prepare yourselves and lend me your attention. This is the story of Ahmed, the owner of a socks factory. He sells every pair of socks to a wholesaler for 10 dirhams and charges him VAT on that amount at 15%. Therefore, the wholesaler pays 11.5 dirhams for the socks. This year, there was an increase in VAT from 15 to 20%, which means the socks are sold for 12 dirhams. As a result, Ahmed had a significant increase in raise of revenue, and so he thought of increase in... Yes, taken?
Earlier you mentioned the economy. I just want to ask you, how does that make the families any less affected?
Sorry?
How does that make the families any less affected?
Well, if you could wait just a few seconds, I will answer your answer. As I was saying, as a result, Ahmed had a significant raise in revenue, and so he thought of increasing the amount of socks produced in a year. More products will require more workers, so Ahmed eventually thought of the son unemployed of his neighbor as one of the workers he's recruiting. The son, Samir, is 30 years old and unemployed, meaning he's not able to help his parents pay taxes. With this new job offered by Ahmed, he will be able to pay taxes, therefore his family's purchasing power will increase. Now, dear audience, allow me to present our companion, sugar. Yes, sugar. Initially, when that word popped up in our subject, I pondered its relevance. Yet, upon delving into my research, I uncovered that sugar would emerge as the hero of our narrative. Let me clarify this for you. Sugar is a vital substance used by many economic groups, such as bakeries, candy factories, and beverage factories. From here, it can be said that the consumption of sugar is increasing, which has prompted the state to adopt a policy aimed at increasing the added value of this vital substance and using it in areas of interest to the weak group, in the aim of restoring balance and reducing disparities, according to Organic Law 130.13, Article 11, and this was mentioned in the 2024 Finance Law. And with that, I rest my case. Thank you.
Dear parents, do you really believe that an increase in VAT will affect positively the Moroccan families out there? And by families, I mean the middle, the poor, and the vulnerable classes, as this last one combined represents the majority of Morocco's population and families in 2023. To be more specific, 48.5% for the middle class, where 16.9% of them actually belong to the lower middle class. 16.9% for the poor and 90% for the vulnerable class. Is it that immense, or should I say that 31 million Moroccans hope that the situation will be better in 2024? 31 million Moroccans who trusted the government that will find positive solutions and not aggravate the situation. 31 million Moroccans who will be severely affected in terms of their monthly bills and purchasing power. Why do we always keep generalizing by considering that all the citizens have the same purchasing power? Why don't we search for new creative solutions instead of sticking to traditional ones? Why don't we draw inspiration from a successful experience? Yes?
Can you give us your sources, please?
Sources, yes. الجريدة.mo. الجريدة.mo.
Thank you.
Why don't we draw inspiration from previous successful experiences such as the UK in 2008, Japan in 1997, and Malaysia in 2015? Why shouldn't we decrease instead of increasing the VAT, as these previous examples did, not just in sugar, water, transport, and electricity, but in many other domains? Dear people and dear humans, how can we compare a person who suffers to another who lives in luxury? How dare we put them on the same equality scale? Why should a rich citizen pay the same amount of VAT as a person whose average annual salary doesn't even come to 23,300 dirhams, as our deputy leader just mentioned? Here lies the problem and the solution at the same time. Morocco should have increased the VAT in the 4 sensitive sectors only to the rich class, big companies and facilities who have massive incomes, such as nightclubs, for example. And speaking of those, strengthening the fight against tax evasion could be a main reason to gain more and avoid loss, without forgetting about reducing the tax concessions and exceptions, which costed the state treasury more than 38 billion dirhams in 2022. Dear jury, opposition, and dear audience. Yes.
Please, you mentioned all the solutions for the lower income families.
Yes.
So what do you think about the one who got the societies and the companies that use more water and more electricity?
I talked about the big companies, not the small ones, who have massive incomes. Dear jury, opposition, and dear audience, surely the Moroccan government had better solutions, the potential to create creative ones, a choice to save our economic situation, though they still made the wrong choice, a choice that will certainly won't lead to the right path. Thank you.
Before I begin, I would just like to say that I would love to answer the members of the opposition, but I can't even understand what you're saying. We're not here to recite. And to answer the member of the opposition, you said that why shouldn't all families have the same purchasing power? You're promoting communism. Anyways, a society with little to no poverty, where equal opportunities are given to every single one of us. A society where your social status won't deprive you, or on the contrary, benefit you more than others. What an amazing society, right? Iceland, Switzerland, Hungary. What do these countries have in common, you may ask? Well, they have a somewhat high poverty percentage, but a low poverty rates. Dear audience, good morning. As we're now almost halfway through this debate, I genuinely hope that you're starting to make sense of the fact that the increase of VAT is there for a reason, for a good cause. As my incredible teammates have mentioned earlier, it's helps on many sides, such as economic growth, giving out job opportunities, and so on. Now, let me take you somewhere else. Dear opponents, you're saying that the increase of VAT will affect families. The government couldn't care less about its citizens, that it's only taking measures for its own benefits. You're ignoring the efforts of His Majesty the King, Mohammed VI, and his inauguration of the direct social aid program. Now, before we dive into the heart of the matter, just what is social aid? Well, social aid typically refers to assistance or support provided by a community or society to groups or individuals in need. It takes various forms such as financial aid, welfare programs, or community initiatives aimed at improving the well-being of those facing challenges. Now, onto the direct social aid program. It was introduced by our dear King as an integral part of the projects to generalize social protection, an essential pillar to our societal and development model. For the sovereign, this is the concretization of the values of social solidarity that Moroccans carry in their DNA. It is also said that the program will not be limited to family alliances alone, but also to other needy sections of society as well, such as children of school age, children with disabilities, newborns. It will also target poor and precarious families, as well as households caring for elderly people. Taken?
How are charities any relevant?
I believe that charities are carried by private associations. So, thanks to the social aid, it is by the state's treasury, which I will elaborate on. Anyways, this is all according to the King's speech that was given out on October 13th, according to the official websites of the 360. Now, you must be wondering, what does this have to do with anything? Well, thanks to the social aid received, families' purchasing power will increase. It's as simple as that. And let me ask you something. How will this project be funded? Where will all the money to realize this come from? Now, I'm sure that the first answer that must have popped into everyone here, into everyone's head, must have been VAT. And now, it goes without saying that the increase of VAT is mandatory. And knowing this, your opponents, I don't see how we can help people in need with an empty state treasury. Thank you.
Dear Deputy Leader of the Opposition, more working opportunities, all right, but know that the salaries will go up with the VAT. Therefore, that doesn't change anything. As for you, dear member of the Opposition, we never said that families should have the same purchasing power. Oh, hold on. Here I am, standing before you. Trembling voice, shaky hands, disoriented, heart beating so fast I am afraid of it pounding right off my chest, as I am just now reaching a frightening realization. Dear members of the opposition, you're right. Perhaps we were wrong all along. Therefore, I cannot begin to express my gratitude towards you for opening the eyes we kept shut all this time. Since VAT is what funds public services, healthcare, education, infrastructure, projects, and so on. VAT is mandatory for a country's development. VAT is crucial for the economy, and its increase will only serve to improve that even more. I know, it's an acting career. Although it was extremely challenging trying to keep a straight face while uttering such nonsense. What? Nonsense? But why? Well, allow me to enlighten you. 1. The value-added taxes fund public services, projects, infrastructure, roads, etc. Firstly, how does this make the families any less affected? Pardon me for shattering your reality, but it just doesn't. Secondly, do you really think those people care about such things when they're already struggling to pay their bills and last until the end of the month? Oh, and breaking news, most Moroccan families only have one breadwinner having to cover for everyone's expenses. So you can go ahead and multiply the numbers given by our Deputy Prime Minister by 3, 4, 5, 6, depending on the number of members within that family. I then will warmly welcome you to take a seat, grab some snacks, and watch as the poverty percentage in Morocco and the Moroccan suffering increase alongside with your VAT. 2. VAT is mandatory for a country's development. If development to you means the increase of poverty within the country, famine, and caring about the economy and one small class more than the people and the citizens, then sure, suit yourselves. Speaking of economy, 3. VAT is crucial for the economy, and its increase will only serve to improve that even more. Alright, let's shed some more light into the matter. I want you, the audience, to close your eyes and imagine. Imagine a world in which necessities are more expensive, and say you have an average salary. All right, you can open your eyes now. In that scenario, you would naturally find yourselves greatly limiting your use of basically everything, since transportation affects almost all products. And with people buying less while factories are still producing, the economy will deteriorate. How, you may wonder? Well, the answer is held within one simple word: oversupply. Oh, great. So not only will an increase have an impact on families, but also your dear economy. We believe that the contrast between the pros and cons is clear here. But no worries, we will continue to demonstrate it. Dear Assembly, I give it to you. My little acting performance earlier perhaps had its share of absurdity. However, trust me, nothing can be as absurd as the ideology of study with such a measure. Claiming it will have an impact, because guess what? It already does. I rest my case. Thank you.
Well. Where do I even begin from? Dear government, I genuinely have no idea about how you have the audacity to come here in front of beautiful people, discuss a topic and even debate it while having no idea about what it really is. You're talking from an old perspective, our parents' perspective, grandparents' perspective, where the VAT added makes people suffer in their own homes and makes families unable to live with only one income. But hey, 2024 isn't only 1 month and times had changed. My dear teammates before me explained very well how the VAT added does not have any prominent impact on families and their purchasing power, and I could not do it any better. Yes, the VAT added helps in the economic and social growth. No, it doesn't have any impact on poor families and doesn't get them any poorer. It's as simple as it gets. Not convinced yet? Hear me out. To answer the whip of the government about the wages not increasing, well, due to taxes, VAT, and inflation increase in August 2023, the Moroccan government has officially approved a decree increasing the legal minimum wages for workers in both agricultural and non-agricultural sectors. Thus, the wages are set to increase by 10% over the upcoming 2 years. Other than that, this agreement aims to unify the... Taken?
Please, the source.
MoroccoWorldNews.com.
Thank you.
Other than that, this agreement aims to unify the wages across various sectors such as industry or freelancing and also commerce, just to not witness people leaving their old positions empty and migrate to higher wage jobs. Anyway, the newly approved increase will push the hourly minimum wage from 15.5 dirhams to 16.4 dirhams. Although it may seem like nothing, the monthly wage will then rise from the current 2,900 dirhams to 3,112 dirhams. Let's discuss a problem we have been...
The wage you mentioned is still not enough according to what our Deputy Prime Minister said. What do you have to say about that?
I'm sorry, but as the VAT rises, the wages also rises, and so when you pay your VATs, you would have some money left to pay for other expenses. So, let's discuss a problem we have been recently facing, the teachers' crisis. Students have been missing weeks of studies due to teachers not satisfied with their monthly pay. And so, and we know that their monthly pay. And since the country fund pays all the teachers and it's running low, they don't have enough money to pay all the teachers. So think about it, as it was said before, and as I mentioned earlier in my intervention, the VATs help fill in the country's fund. And so the teachers' wages would also rise up, as I mentioned before in my intervention. Now imagine if the government followed your reasoning and your ideas. Poor teachers would live hell on earth all because of people like you. Dear audience, my intervention sadly comes to an end. We will meet in a matter of moments, but don't forget that the taxes we pay are not a burden, but they're the solution to every socio-economic problem we face, and that the government knows what it is doing and knows how to handle critical situations like this, unlike some other governments that Well, they speak for themselves. Thank you.
After all these years and promises, the salary didn't go up and will never. Increasing VAT isn't just about numbers on receipts. It's about the profound impact it has on families' everyday lives, where each added percentage becomes a weight carried to the pursuit of cherished ambitions and basic needs. Dear opponents, how can you assume that this will help in any case our country that is already suffering enough? The pressure of a value-added tax increase falls heavily upon the shoulders of families. The happy moments around the dinner table start having a new guest. Worry about money. It's about the influence these changes have on the simple joys and hopes that make a household. Ladies and gentlemen, if this doesn't prove you how bad the situation is, then I don't know what will. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, need I say more? It is crystal clear that VAT does not have any bad influence on families' purchasing power and monthly bills. And my teammates and I have already said everything about it. And to answer for some of our dear House of Government's arguments, a higher VAT can also provide the government with the means to invest the education and healthcare by improving the quality of education and healthcare services. The workforce becomes more skilled and healthier, which ultimately leads to increased productivity and economic growth. Also, a higher VAT can help reduce budget deficits and stabilize the economy. And finally, allow me to leave you with this beautiful citation or quote said by John Kennedy. Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. Pay for taxes and pay them. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, before I start, I'd like to ask you a question. How many Moroccans use public transport? Well, I will do you the pleasure and give you the answer. According to Averti, 69% of Morocco's population use public transport, and that's about 25 million Moroccans who use it to go to work, to see their families, to run errands, etc. And to my surprise, while I was conducting more research about this, I have found that 57% of those 69 belong to the low middle class. You know, it's funny how it's almost like they're being targeted by this increase. Oh wait, they are, and you dare say they won't be affected? I don't have much time left, so ladies and gentlemen, it's time. It's time to acknowledge the undeniable consequences this increase will have on Moroccan families. The alarms are ringing, so wake up.
A hearty applause to our dear members of government, whose debate strategy seems to be to adopt the let's talk a lot and say a little tactic. To respond you, our whip government, you said that when families have to spend more on basic necessities due to higher VAT, it leaves them with less disposable income. This means they will have less money available for other expenses, such as education, healthcare, and leisure activities. Well, if you heard what our whip said, the wages of the workers are proportional to the taxes rate, so your assumption is clearly wrong. Anyways, be like Ahmed and look at the good side of taxes and VAT, and you shall see how good it is being an optimist person in life. Thank you.
Dear opponents, did you know that this increase will only serve to cover the lags that Morocco already has? Dear audience, in order to help you grasp the reality of things, I brought a guest. I'll let him introduce himself. Greetings everyone, my name is Suhail. I am an employee and the father of 2 children. In the past years and with a salary of 10,000 dirhams, I managed to pay my monthly bills comfortably and still save the 20% of my wage, an equivalent of 2,000 dirhams. In 2 years or less, I finally collected enough money to buy a car or maybe even invest in a new home. Nowadays, I struggle to barely pay my monthly bills. I can't save enough money or think about investing in the future. Thank you, Suhail. Dear opposition, the moral of my witness story is that by affecting the monthly bills of families, you're actually affecting the consumers, the people who contribute to the economic promotion. Finally, and as I said before, Morocco's decision could have been wiser by thinking and rethinking of the consequences of their foolish decision. Thank you.
So, to answer you all, you said that the VAT increase doesn't help in economic growth. If you give attention to what our deputy leader said, you wouldn't be saying that. And I would also like to kindly remind you that our debate's motion is the government capable enough of carrying out these social aid programs and wage increases? As we're sadly only discussing a thematic. Otherwise, this debate wouldn't even take place, since the answer would be quite obvious. Also, as I mentioned earlier, the direct social aid program will only take place in the end of this year. So, yes, we cannot see the effects of it. But I guarantee you that on the long term, you will be able to notice the amazing thing. So you will be able to see a big difference in the quality of life of our country's citizens. Thank you. Dear member of the opposition, first of all, we literally never said that. Dear deputy leader of the opposition, if the minimum wages are going to increase, we're going to do already with the inflation. Anyways, dear Assembly, for this last intervention of the government house, we decided to spare you the countless, diverse, and sometimes complicated arguments to make everything simple, easy, as clear as water, allowing even the fish in it to understand. Alright, I know most of you haven't seen this is the 3rd grade, but bear with me. Say the taxes go up, the prices automatically go up as well. Meanwhile, the salaries stay constant or change in a very minimal way. The imbalance then just becomes noticeably greater as the prices go up. Therefore, the families only suffer more and get more impacted as the taxes increase. Sadly, my time is counted and is running out, and so are the salaries of the people you forgot to care about. But before I leave, allow me to ask you a question, hoping it leads you to some sort of realization. How can a country flourish while its people perish?
Well, I don't know if they taught you that the second intervention is only 1 minute, but yeah. So, I see that you repeat the wages and salaries arguments many times. You should have just gave me a listen and you will totally understand. Anyway, good to see you again, dear audience. Our debate finally draws to a close. It has been a wonderful session with you, full of different positions, full of different opinions, but only one is right, ours. Don't let absurd people and absurd vision ruin your way of understanding our arguments by using difficult words and rhymes to show themselves credible. The VATs are essential to the development of our economy and are crucial to our country's evolution. This is what we have been saying, and this is the right path. Follow us in our right path and don't get distracted by people like this. Thank you.